Hi, my name is Dan and I'm one of the DT evangelists here at Digital-Tutors. In this video, we're going to look at a question from one of our users, jdholman, on how to set up some custom buffer nodes with render passes in Maya 2011. Okay, so to illustrate this, I have a scene from the Render Passes in Maya 2009 course. Now to create custom buffer nodes, we'll just come over here in our Hypershade, and under the miscellaneous menu here, we can see the right to color buffer. Okay, so let's drop a couple of these in here. Since in this particular instance we're working with a subsurface shader, we're going to create one of these for the back scatter, the front scatter, as well as the diffuse. Okay, so the first thing I like to do when I create a color buffer node would be to come in and actually rename these so I know what they're going to be used for. So one will be our back buffer, one of these will be our front buffer, and then one of these will be the diffuse buffer. Okay, now to connect our subsurface scattering shader, we can simply middle click and drag it onto one of our buffer nodes and come into Other. Okay, now in the connection editor, it's very important that we have the correct outputs and inputs loaded up. So here on the left hand side, we want to make sure that we have our MISS fast shader loaded, and on the right side have our diffuse buffer. Now when we middle click and drag, Maya has gone ahead and automatically set that up for us. But if we didn't have that, we could come in, select, say, the diffuse buffer, and click the reload right button. Or on the fast shader, come in and click the reload left button. I want to make sure that we have those set up. Okay, so with the fast shader here, let's come in down to, this is the diffuse, so we'll look for the diffuse result, plug that into the color of the custom buffer node. Now select the front buffer, reload the right hand side, select my front result and go to the color, and then for the back buffer, once again click the reload right button to load my back buffer in and choose the back result into the color. Okay, so now that we have those connected, we can see we have the connections here. Now we need to set up our render passes. Okay, so to do that, we'll come into our render settings, and under the passes tab, let's create a new render pass. And these will be custom color passes. One of them will be for diffuse. One of them will be for the back, and one of them for front. Okay, so we have those created. We can hold down Shift and select all of them and associate those with our current render layer. Okay, close that out. Now before we actually batch render, we want to make sure that our custom buffer nodes are actually aligned with those passes, or connected to those passes that we just created. Okay, so I'll double click on the back buffer node and associate that with our back custom color render pass. And we'll do the same for the front buffer as well as the diffuse. Okay, so now that that's all set up, we can just go ahead to render and batch render this out. And it doesn't take very long for that to render out, so we can hop over into Explorer and see our different render passes here. So this is going to be the master beauty that gets rendered out, the front scatter, the diffuse, which is really hard to see, but if we come in close here, we can see that there's a very faint diffuse there on our rim. And then we also have, that's the front, we have the back scatter. So that's a look at how we can use Maya 2011 to set up our custom color buffers.